Every one of these three trucks sells you the same promise on the dealer lot. Built tough, runs forever, the last truck you will ever buy. But only one of them has the hard numbers to back that up to 300,000 miles, and it is not the one most buyers would bet on. I am going to show you the survival data, the engines that actually go the distance, and the two failures that decide whether your truck hits that number or dies 100,000 miles short. Let's get into it. With the truck that finishes last, because the gap is not close. Take the latest longevity study from iSeeCars, the one that tracks how many of each model still on the road have actually crossed 250,000 miles. The Ram 1500 comes in at 3.5%. 3.5. The average full-size truck manages 13%, so the Ram is not just behind the field, it is running at roughly a quarter of the pace of it. If you are buying one of these to keep it forever, the odometer is quietly betting against you. And the engines tell you why. For years, the heart of the Ram was the 5.7 HEMI V8, and the HEMI has a problem baked into the way it saves fuel. It is called the multi-displacement system, and to stretch your gas mileage, it shuts down 4 of the 8 cylinders by collapsing their lifters, cylinders 1, 4, 6, and 7. Do that a few 100,000 times, and those lifters start to fail. You hear it first as a tick at idle, the famous HEMI tick. And the first time you catch it at a stoplight with the windows down, you will know. What you are actually hearing is the top of the engine wearing out. By the time a lifter lets go and chews into the camshaft, you are looking at a cam and lifter job that runs between $3,000 and $5,000, and there is a class action lawsuit over exactly that failure. If you skipped the HEMI and took the 3.6 Pentastar V6, you did not escape it. The Pentastar from roughly 2014 to 2020 has its own ticking problem, a rocker arm that wears down, drops out of place, and grinds metal into the valvetrain. Same noise, same sick feeling, different engine, and there is a class action over that one too. Here is the part that tells you everything. Ram itself could not decide what belonged in this truck. For 2025, they pulled the HEMI out entirely and replaced it with a twin-turbo inline-6 called the Hurricane. Then, the backlash hit. Their own surveys showed roughly 40% of HEMI buyers would walk to another brand rather than buy the 6. So for 2026, the HEMI is back, 395 horsepower, and Ram took 10,000 pre-orders for it in the first 24 hours. That is a company listening to its customers, which is fine. But think about what it leaves you with at 300,000 miles. Your two real choices are an engine with a known lifter failure, or a brand new 6-cylinder with no long-term track record at all. Neither one is the bulletproof workhorse the commercials are selling. The Ram can absolutely get there. You will just be the one paying to keep it there. Now move up to the Ford F-150, and the story flips from the engine to the buyer. The F-150 lands at 5.9% in that same study, better than the Ram but still under the 13% average, which catches people off guard, because they assume the best-selling truck in the country must also be the longest living. It is not, and the reason is half mechanical and half human. The Ford sells in such enormous numbers, and so many of them go into work fleets and quick trade-ins, that a huge share get cycled out long before they are worn out. That percentage measures how many actually reach the milestone, not how many were capable of it. So the real question with the Ford is which engine you put under the hood, because the spread between them is wider than on any other truck here. Get this choice right and the F-150 is a genuine 300,000-mile truck. Get it wrong and you are funding turbo repairs for a decade. The quiet winner is the one nobody brags about. The 2.7 EcoBoost, the smallest engine in the lineup, is built around a compacted graphite iron block, the same material Ford uses in its heavy-duty power-stroke diesels. That iron is stiffer and stronger than the aluminum or ordinary cast iron in most gas engines, so it shrugs off the cylinder pressure those two turbos pile on without distorting. Mechanics who used to roll their eyes at a small turbo 6 now quietly call it one of the most durable engines Ford puts in this truck, and 200,000 miles on a clean one is routine. It is the engine I would point a high-mileage buyer toward first. The 5.0 V8, the Coyote, is the safe emotional pick, and it mostly earns it. It is simple, it sounds right, and plenty of them run a very long time. Two cautions keep it from a clean sweep. There is a ticking noise on these engines Ford has never fully cured, and the 2018 and newer trucks can drink oil between changes, so you check the dipstick and you never stretch an interval. The one to handle with care is the 3.5 EcoBoost, the big twin turbo. It makes the most power and tows the most, and it is also the most complicated thing in the lineup. It runs a timing chain long enough that soot and skipped oil changes wear it out, and it has had cam phaser problems Ford still has not completely put to bed. Maintained like a mortgage payment, it will go the distance. Treated like an afterthought, it becomes the repair bill that makes people swear off Ford forever. The engine is not the problem. The neglected engine is the problem. So the Ford is the truck where you, the buyer, decide the outcome. Pick the 2.7 or the 5.0. Keep the oil clean, and it is right there with the best of them. That is a very different situation from the Ram, where the weak point is built into the hardware no matter how careful you are. Quick gut check before the truck that actually wins this. If you have personally driven any pickup past 200,000 miles, tap the like button. I want to see how many high mileage owners are watching this, because you are the people these studies are built on. And if you are running a 5.3 or a HEMI past 150,000, right now, drop in the comments what has failed and what still has not. I read every one of those. Which brings us to the winner of the three, and it is not the Ford, and it is definitely not the Ram. It is the Chevrolet Silverado 1500, and the numbers are not close. In that same iSeeCars study, the Silverado posts 12.9%, right at the truck average, more than double the Ford and more than 3 times the Ram. Out of these three, if you are playing the raw odds of reaching that high mileage, the Chevy is the bet. And I know exactly what a lot of you are typing right now, because the Silverado carries the single most notorious engine problem in this whole video. The 5.3 and 6.2 V8s use a fuel saver called active fuel management, the same basic idea as the HEMI, shutting down half the cylinders to save gas. And just like the HEMI, that system eats lifters. When an AFM lifter collapses on the deactivated side, it can take the camshaft with it. There are well over 500 owner-reported failures on the Silverado 1500 alone. They tend to land right around 120,000 miles, and the average repair runs about $4,200. The worst cases, where the cam is destroyed and the whole engine needs replacing, have hit $11,000. So how does the truck with the scariest lifter problem also post the best longevity numbers of the three? That is the whole lesson of this video. The Silverado wins on everything around the failure. That small block V8 is one of the simplest, most familiar designs on the planet. Parts are everywhere, and they are cheap. Any competent shop can do the top end on one without blinking. And the root cause has a well-known fix. You can disable the fuel saver system so the engine stays in 8-cylinder mode full time, which takes the lifter failure off the table for the miles you have left. A Silverado owner who deals with that one issue early is driving the most rebuildable, most forgiving high-mileage truck of the three. A Ram owner who hits the same kind of failure is staring at a more expensive job in a less forgiving engine. Same category of problem. Very different bill, and a very different chance the owner even bothers to fix it. That is why the Chevy sits on top. Not because it never breaks. Every truck here breaks. It earns the crown because when it does break, it is the cheapest and the easiest to bring back to life, and the data agrees with the wrench. 12.9% of them are still out there grinding past 250,000 miles. Handle the lifters before they handle you, and the rest of that truck will happily outlast the loan, the warranty, and probably your patience for making payments on it. Now the asterisk on this entire question, because it is the honest thing to put on the table. The truck that truly owns 300,000 miles does not have its name in the title. Run the same study across every full-size pickup, and the Toyota Tundra sits at 30%, more than double the truck average, and nearly 9 times the Ram 1500. 30%. It is not even a fair fight. There is a catch worth knowing. That 30% was earned almost entirely by the older Tundra and its naturally aspirated 5.7 V8, an engine with a near-mythical reputation for simply refusing to die. The current Tundra switched to a twin-turbo 6, and that new engine had a rough enough start that Toyota recalled a large batch of them to replace the engines outright. So the legend is real, but it was built by the truck Toyota stopped making, not the one sitting on the lot today. If you want the proven version, you are shopping used. And if you want this kind of engine-by-engine teardown on a truck before you go cross-shop one, that is the entire reason this channel exists. The next one digs into Ram's new Hurricane 6, the engine that is supposed to do everything the HEMI never quite could, and whether there is any real evidence yet that it can survive the long haul. Subscribe if you want those numbers the day they land. So where does that leave the 3 trucks in the title? Of the F-150, the Silverado, and the Ram, the Chevy has the best odds of seeing 300,000 miles. The Ford is a close second, but only if you buy the right engine under the hood. And the Ram is the one you either baby or walk away from. But notice that none of them won on the engine never breaking. The truck that lasts 300,000 miles is the one whose single known weakness you deal with before it deals with you. Buy the engine, not the badge. The odometer does not care what is stamped on the tailgate.